All right, so within this workplace slash professional setting conflict workshop, we're gonna be discussing and bring to attention different types of conflict that occur, whether it's in the workplace or other professional settings. And then we're gonna bring attention to experiences you guys have had within conflicts, conflicts that you guys may have seen and wanted to solve, but maybe you didn't know how to at that time, and just other techniques or ways that you guys could go about conflict resolution in your personal, professional settings or workplace settings. And so we'll start with the definitions of just what conflict is in general. And conflict's described as a serious disagreement or argument about something of significant importance. And then bringing that into workplace conflict is any disagreement, dispute, or clash that arises between individuals or groups within a work environment. And so the materials included for this workshop are very simple: 3 sticky notes, a couple little voting stickers with different colors on them, the whiteboard behind me, this handout paper, as well as everybody has something to write with, a pen. All right, so the instructions will be simple on your handout in front of you. We're gonna start off, everybody has their 3 sticky notes. On each sticky note, write 1 concise conflict or experience that you may have encountered within your professional work environment or workplace setting. And then we will get back together, put them on the whiteboard, and we'll vote on them, rank from most important, most significant to least important, least significant in our opinions.
Just one or not?
You'll write, take all 3 of them and write 3. They can take as long as you need, but just put your pens down when
How
you get it.
specific?
It could be anything from what happened with a customer being rude to you while you were working, or if you were on a team of some sort in a professional setting, if you had a conflict with a teammate, or anything in your professional experience, your workplace life, something like that.
So like dispute with teammates, or that's
Yeah,
problem?
no, that's good. In your experience, what's the most 3 important conflicts that if you could go and solve, you could figure out, we could work towards a resolution, what would you say is most important to you? Another example of a conflict, like if I was your boss and I just started yelling at you. Have you ever worked a summer job?
Yeah, like,
Something that's happened to you in your experience, though.
so like just like dispute with the boss.
And you don't have to write a lot either. It can be nice and short, whatever you want. Alright. So if you got your 3, hand me them. Put them on the board. See what you got.
That's who.
You got one more? Yeah.
What was good job? Feed the lion.
Feed the warrior.
Alright. Got all the answers in? You have these little dots in front of you. I'm gonna read these out briefly. If anybody has a question about any of these disputes, go ahead and ask so that we all have the same understanding on what the dispute is, what it consists of, what we're, just same context. We'll start with a dispute with a Karen that is entitled at a workplace, okay? We got a teammate stealing money and selling players' items. We got summer baseball job. Father wasn't happy, I wasn't playing his kid at shortstop. That's professional. My friend and I had an argument about who was the best baseball player. Someone with authority says insensitive remarks. Dispute with coach, dispute with teammate, dispute with coworker, dispute with teammate. Let's get rid of one of those because they're the same one. A coworker was lazy and I had to do extra work, okay, in the workplace. Dispute over fair share of profits between self and business partner. Customer asked us to do more work than what we had agreed upon in the contract. The best way to work well with your coworkers. Dispute with boss about promotion opportunities. My boss and I had an argument about hourly wage, and customer was entitled and act as if they were above the rules because they pay for a membership. A fellow classmate cheated off me during a midterm and I got my score docked. And a dispute with baseball umpire. Wait, yeah, they're going over this. Any confusion about any of these? No? Okay. With that being said, you may get up and you may vote 3 times on the top 3 you think are the most important and most universal within a professional or workplace workplace.
What color do we use?
You could use whatever color except pink, because pink blends in.
Okay.
What you think's the most important? The ones with the least amount of votes will be removed.
You must have got that. You must have wrote that one. Sure, guys, let's put it on there. Sure.
3? Only vote 3 times.
One more. I gotta make sure.
We can't all vote on the same
Yes,
one.
right, sure.
Should've done this one.
Beautiful. So we're all in disagreement that a coworker was lazy and I had to do extra work. It's not the most important. Someone with authority says insensitive remarks is not the most important. Summer baseball job, father wasn't playing the kid at shortstop, not the most important. Dispute with Karen, not the most important. Dispute with coach, whatever this one was. Dispute with coworker. We're left with these ones, right? Okay, so let's go into a little depth about what kind of conflicts can arise within these situations and maybe ways that you've gone about solving them, or even like, you know, that feeling after a conflict when you're sitting by yourself and you're like, I should have said this, I should have said this, I would have said this, I feel like this now, like, and you feel a whole different way. Maybe something that you thought of light bulb after that was like, I should have done this or handled it this way, instead of going about that conflict resolution in the way that you did. If you had the experience, if you were to go through this workshop, break it down, how you would do it after that. So we'll start with a teammate stealing money and selling players' items. Whose was that? Okay, can you give me a little bit of insight on what was going on right there? Just something brief.
That was in high school, and like we had a clubhouse, and one of our teammates would go in when like we were practicing or like during games, and like go into people's wallets and take their money. And then he would like also like go in their bags, and, like the ones that like we would store, and like take like an old glove or like a bat people would use, and like post it on Facebook Marketplace. And that's how we figured out it was him, because his like listing came across, like he used like his mom's account, and so we could see like.
So did the coaches do something? Did you guys do something?
It was a player thing, because like
did the police get involved? Cause if you're stealing and like, right?
No, yeah, it was we didn't involve the police, but it was like coach involved, and so like one, like he got ripped in front of the entire team and had to like apologize, and then two, like work to like pay off like his debt to like everybody, because like everyone kind of knew what they lost, and then he also got kicked off the team.
Okay, so all of you guys being athletes and being on a team professional scenario, if you were to go about handling that conflict, or even as a coach, do you guys, by show of hands, raise your hand if you agree with the way that it was dealt? 1, 2, 3, all of them, everybody, okay. If you were to be on the opposition side, how else do you think that could have been dealt with in a efficient manner, effective manner? How do you think the conflict still could have been resolved if it didn't get solved that way, type of thing? Do you think it would have been efficient if cops got called? Do you think it would have been efficient if the parents were yelling at each other? Like, go ahead, Tyler. Should be kicked off the team? 100%. Why is that?
Stealing's not allowed,
Especially within
especially stealing from your own teammates.
within a professional setting, correct? Because you're out there, you're trusting the people around you to go handle your profession in which something, an outside factor is controlling it, correct? Alright, so we'll go over 2 more of these. We'll go with, dispute with the teammate. Who wrote that one?
Me,
And something specific you wanted to refer to, something brief with dispute with the teammate?
teammate got in my face because he thought I took something out of his locker and I didn't.
Right.
So,
And how was that resolved?
physical altercation.
Physical altercation. Looking back at that, how would you have solved that differently? Are you proud of what happened? Would you have done that again?
Never proud of a physical altercation with your teammate, but the way he came off at me, I feel like there was no way of calming him down with words.
By show of hands, who agrees with the physical altercation aspect of solving the problem? Wade, how come Wade?
Well, I think if he was coming out of way in your face, and like you said, in a way where you can't calm him down, I think maybe not beating the crap out of him is probably the best way, but definitely pushing him and
Self-defense.
showing him,
Yeah.
so
I felt
disrespected.
showing him that you can't disrespect me in this type of way,
Within
just
my
because
professional
you think,
setting.
yeah,
Correct.
yeah, I'm your teammate, you can't just think because I did this, you can get in my face.
Right. I agree. And then we'll go, I like the one about, dispute over fair share of profits between myself and business partner. Who wrote that one? What are you referring to?
Basically, this summer, the business that me and my buddy had, it was a lot of work, like going and getting jobs and cutting down trees and hauling pine needles and stuff. And there were some days where he would do more or I would do more, and it came down to he thought that he was always doing more than me, and he was like, I don't think that we should be 50-50 anymore. And we resolved it by like just breaking it down and figuring out that we each do like an equal amount of work, and like nothing changed. We still kept it 50-50, but just kind of broke it down.
You went the logistical route within the profession of, this is what it actually looks like, this is how much I work, this is the money that I should be entitled to due to my work, and it still ended up being 50-50.
Exactly.
Okay. Good, perfect. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you guys one more time. Get up. I need the top 3. You guys can decide, you don't have to vote. You guys can come up here, look, decide the top 3. These will be the most important ones that we're going to discuss again briefly, that we feel are the 3 most important within our conflict, our work setting, our professional setting, and that we need to take a step at by either right now, tomorrow, however many days, to go and fix this conflict, resolve it. Cool?
This is a big one.
Yeah.
Can we keep this one? Yeah. Oh,
Maybe not.
I can't read it. This one?
Yeah.
I mean, we could.
The part of the pink one, or pink one with keepers. Yeah.
We just
Good. Which one?
They have
Keep
to-
going.
keep going to the keepers. Yep.
Yeah. Alright. The three most important conflicts that need to be resolved within our individual lives or just in general with the other people that are within our professional setting or workplace. Number one, my boss and I had an argument about my hourly wage. That's a huge one, that's a very common one, very generic across the board. Customer asks for us to do more work than what we agreed upon in the contract. Another general one that could be placed in very many different scenarios. And then a fellow classmate cheated off me during a midterm and got my score docked. Horrible, nobody wants that. Right, okay. 1 to 3, what do we think is the most important in this one? What's the most applicable to everyday life?
Hourly wage.
Hourly wage? I would agree with that one too. Okay, so that's the top. 2, compared, customer asked us to do more than what we agreed upon, or classmate cheating off me.
Customer do more.
Two, first one.
Customer,
Yep.
okay, 1 or 3. Okay, so this one, I feel like this one's really important just because a lot of, this could happen in like elementary school, middle school, high school, college, any form of education level, and us being within the age range of 18 to 22, 23 years old, there could be little kids out there that experience conflict like this and they haven't been taught how to resolve it. They haven't, if they are getting pressed by the issue and they're getting told they're gonna fail and they had no idea that they were getting cheated off of, they don't know how to resolve conflict like this without bringing parents into it, teachers involved, stuff like that. So in terms of this group, how do we feel that this situation particularly would be the most effectively and efficiently resolved? Whether that's between kids figuring out how to do it, going straight to a teacher, going to a professor, going to admin, emailing school, how would we, Drew?
Well, I think depending on the age group, right? Well, when you're younger, you're in like second, third grade, you're not gonna handle it by yourself. So then that's when I think you get the parents and like maybe like the principal and the teacher together. But now in college, like you can meet with like this, say like dean of students and that professor, and you have a conversation with them. I mean, because I feel like you're at the age now where you don't need to get your parents involved about that stuff unless it gets bad.
Right.
But I feel like getting the highest person you can involved and going to them would be the best way to get it solved.
So going straight to the most authoritative person that you can get to.
Yep.
And going straight to them, right? Anybody disagree with that? No, I agree with that as well. Okay, going on to the second one. The customer asked us for more, to do more work than what we agreed upon in the contract. This could go for anything, whether you're pouring concrete and they ask you to, hey, do this, do a little bit more, but it's like, you didn't pay me for that. And a lot of people, especially there's like the stereotype around people with money that they have entitlement and think that they could boss people around just because money's involved and they're paying and money's not an issue. And so in your guys' opinions, when it comes to an entitled customer or somebody that thinks that their money's more worth than your time, your well-being, how would you guys go about resolving conflict like that? If, say, you're your own boss, or even in a situation where you do have a boss, a higher up, what have you guys done in the past, or after talking a little bit, what would you guys go and do? What would be your first step in that scenario?
I think just confronting the customer straight up and like laying down the contract and saying like, this is what we have in writing, this is what we told you we were gonna do, this is what you said you were gonna pay us. If you want us to do this, it's gonna cost a little bit more, but legally, this is what we're required to do, and you're required to pay us, so, I think you can resolve it that way, and then if you need to get lawyers involved, you can, but.
Having a little bit of like preventative liability within that contract of like, no, this is what's going on type of thing. You don't wanna do that. I have it in writing. This is what you signed off on. Kind of resolves the conflict within itself. There really is no conflict. They can argue as much as they want, like you're saying. Perfect. So then we move up to the top one. I think this one's really important. I love this one. My boss and I had an argument about my hourly wage. There's a lot of different understandings on people getting paid different wages and single mothers having two separate jobs because of the hourly wage and having to feed their family, or on the stage of people in tech, like around Silicon Valley, asking for even more money than they already get. But in terms of what you guys have experienced, whether it's been you, your parents, your siblings, going and asking about a raise, or maybe having an argument about a raise, or doing work that you feel like you're not valued at, type of thing, what have you guys done in that type of way, or how would you guys go about resolving that if that were to occur tomorrow or today?
I mean, I've never like actually like worked like a not like a actual job. I've worked under the counter a little bit, but I think like when I wanted to like actually like ask for my value, I think the best way to do it was like being upfront, actually like asking like, you know, like, hey, like this is what's happening. Like I'm working way more than like these other people that are working, and you know, we're getting paid the same amount, but I'm putting in, you know, more hours than everybody. I think the biggest part is like having a backbone and actually like knowing what you want to talk about, and like being able to articulate it and actually say it and deliver it. And if they say no, then you can be like, okay, because I said what I need to say. If it's not working, then I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Having a little bit of evidence too behind you to support you.
Yeah.
One more, please, about that same thing. If you've had a job, or if, even if your mom was like, do these chores, you get $5, and you're like, I shouldn't have to mop the floor for $5. I feel like that's worth 10 in that scenario. And your mom looks at you and she's like, no, how do you go about resolving that without arguing, without yelling at your mom, without getting sent to your room because you're in trouble now? How would you articulate an argument? Go ahead, Tyler, tell me something.
I mean, I've never really worked a real job either, but
If you were to
going up to
right,
produce it, just bring the evidence, tell them that you were part of it.
right, just, yeah, show it, prove it, prove.
I would say, like, I worked, foundation work, in high school, and like knowing that the work that you were doing is more than somebody else that gets paid the same amount as you, like, if you're putting in more work and you work hard, you're like a good person in the job too, like, you know, that goes a long way too, so like, showing that you can do more than other people, like you work hard at your job, and like, that gives you a good reason to go, like, I think having a reason to go ask for a better pay is,
Before you even go.
yeah, like, you shouldn't just, you should have like they said, evidence, but like that, like a good definitive like reason why you should, and I mean, if they say no, then it's kinda like, well, okay,
Right.
like, you know, but having a good reason why you should get extra pay or better pay.
Good, that's it. Good job, guys, thanks.
Hey.